So one of the biggest questions that we always get is, you've purchased your firearm, what holster do I choose, right? And there's a lot of different acronyms out there. OWB, IWB, AIWB, a lot of crazy stuff. Paddle holster, tuckable clips. There's a lot of options out there that we're trying to figure out what we want to use, for our daily carry.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that depends on how you want to carry the gun and what you're primarily going to do with the gun, right? So I'm wearing like an OWB holster. Now, this may not be the most concealable holster that I own, but it's certainly one of the most comfortable options that I have, because with this holster attached to the outside of my body, there's nothing that's actually inside my pants. There's nothing that's restricting my movement or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think that's one key point that we need to look at. What are your uses, right? Are you wanting to carry every single day, or are you going to the range for competition? You're going to have a lot of different holsters for, different uses that are out there. So we'll go ahead and take you through a couple different options. Keep in mind, we do have shoptaurus.com. We try to put the holsters up there that we actually use and we've tried out before we put them up for sale. So we try to give you a little bit of guidance there, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're not going to have a box full of holsters, 5 years down the line, because that's kind of half the fun of all this.
Absolutely. I mean, we've all got the box of holsters. And, one of the things that's happened over the years of accumulating that box of holsters, though, is that I've been able to really settle on specific holsters for specific needs. You're talking about a competition or a range holster. And to me, that's where OWB sits the best, right? It's not the most concealable option. Maybe if I throw a vest or a coat over this shirt, it works really well. But for me, this becomes I'm going to the range, I'm going to the match. This is how I want to set my day up with this holster. But if I'm trying to carry something a little bit more discreet, I'm going to end up using something like this, an Appendix carry holster that has no cant on it. So it literally drops straight down the front of my pants like this. And it uses this single clip and this little bit of a lip to rotate the gun tighter into my body, so even this large crimson trace grip isn't going to print when I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, and I think that's one key thing we look at. When you look at inside the waistband versus outside the waistband, when you look at outside the waistband here, he's got a little bit of an offset. You can find concealable style like leather holsters from like Galco or DeSantis or Hunter. They've all got options there that's going to pull that gun closer into your body. So if you're wearing like a suit jacket a lot of times and you're wearing a tucked in shirt, it's a little harder to run the Appendix carry rig, but that makes it a lot easier because you're wearing a jacket all day. But when we get into the IWB options, like I said, you need to pick kind of where you feel most comfortable, whether you're going to carry at the Appendix, at the 3 o'clock, or the small of the back. So there's a lot of different options out there. So me personally, I carry Appendix. So this is setting the gun directly in the front. So now I have access to it at all times. And right now I'm carrying a full-size gun with a backup mag, just to show you, if you make the right choices depending on your body type, you can really conceal a lot. So this gun actually has a weapon light, a dot, and a backup 20-round mag. And this is what I carry a lot of times. And you ask,
Yeah, but someone on the internet's going to see that and they're going to go, but can you sit down while you're wearing that? So, well, as a matter of fact,
that is a lot of the purpose of this, is finding what fits your body, right? So I can sit down, I can work all day at the computer because this holster fits my body. I can sit down in a car. Now with a seatbelt over the top of me, I can still access my pistol. Now it's all about finding what clips, what holster works best for you. And so finding holsters that are very adjustable will tend to help you in those beginning stages of selecting a holster.
Now, obviously, I'm more of a, meat and potatoes revolver guy, right? So for something like this, all I really need to do is make sure that it clears, like if I have a Viridian or a Crimson Trace grip, I need it to clear the emitter, and that's really my biggest concern with something like this holster. But if you are carrying like an Appendix carry holster or inside the waistband, and you've got a bunch of extra stuff on your gun, you need to take that into account when you're selecting your holster. So we have this here from Comptac. Now this is a convertible IWB, so you can actually use this Appendix carry. You can use it at your traditional behind the hip carry, your 3 o'clock carry, as they like to call it, by adjusting the cant of this, but it's designed for our GX4 with the TLR6 light laser combo on it. And you need to have that because you can't just buy any old light and any old laser and throw it in a holster. If you're gonna have one, it needs to be purpose built for your light laser combo.
keep in mind on our website, like I said, we try to make it as easy as possible for you too. So you'll see this option from CompTac. We'll see another option. Tactical is a very popular option for us. Both of those are going to come with your IWB clip and an OWB clip as well. So you can actually use it for outside the waistband, inside the waistband. They come adjustable too, so you can see this cant on the clip. So when we add that cant, that's going to turn the gun. So we can actually run this at a 3 o'clock or small of the back option. So it really does give you a more universal style of fit. That way you can, buy one holster, try out a bunch of different options, see what works best for you, and then start narrowing in past that.
Now, one of the things that we don't have here to look at right now is a leather holster. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is that if we're really being honest, leather holsters have sort of fallen out of vogue. There's a lot of people out there carrying guns, and they're carrying them at the appendix position. And even if they're not, they're carrying in a Kydex holster. The Kydex revolution has really taken over. But I do think that there's still a good use case for a lot of leather holsters, specifically like what you mentioned earlier, like your Galco, your Combat Master is the model that I'm thinking of. That's an OWB holster that fits on like a pancake, and again, it's going to have a lot better concealment than something like this competition holster, and you can hide it under, a Hawaiian shirt or a vest or something like that a lot easier than you would something like this. And to me, I will say, if I've got something like a nice revolver that's not a competition gun that I beat up, or a nice 1911, or a gun made out of metal, there's something about putting that in a good leather holster that feels like you're doing the right thing.
And keep in mind, when we go through the selection process here, you can see we're kind of talking about a lot of different things, but really the first choice is outside or inside the waistband.
Yeah.
All right. So once you make that decision, so if you go outside the waistband, you need to figure out how much of an offset, if you want it sitting close on your body, leather or Kydex. If you go inside the waistband, it's determining where on your body you want to carry, appendix, 3 o'clock, or small of the back. Once you make that decision, you can kind of narrow in a little bit more there. So like I said, just kind of try out some. When you go out to the range and practice, you'll figure out what works and what doesn't work, okay? And we can take you through some of those little options there. When you look at clip placement, where our grip sits above our waistline here, if that grip sits a little too low, you can't get your fingers underneath the gun. So, it's keeping those things in mind. But like I said, there are some options out there, and you're going to bounce between a couple different things.
And as kind of the resident OWB guy, because that really is how I prefer to carry, the other big thing you have to bear in mind with that is you have to really, really be conscientious of how you're dressing around the gun. With an appendix carry holster like that, and the small revolver holster that I use a lot of the time, I can throw on a lot of different shirts that I have in my house and be absolutely concealed. With an OWB holster, I have to really think about that. You can conceal in an untucked t-shirt with an OWB, but now you have to think about, is my shirt long enough? What's going to happen if I reach up to pull the cereal off a shelf in the grocery store or something like that? So there's a lot of stuff that you need to think about when you are going through this selection process that maybe isn't even at the front of your head. Because usually most people think about, does this retain the gun and is it comfortable? Which is a great place to start, but there's a lot more that goes into this.
And you really do realize that the more and more you carry. So we're here to try to help you narrow that down a little bit into finding what's right for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So definitely check out shoptaurus.com or just kind of look through our journal articles on taurususa.com to help narrow you down on what type of holsters are out there, what companies that we kind of believe in and help support also from our side, and what we like to push. So.
Yeah, absolutely.